The state of SMEs in the country. Many of them do not live beyond their second birthday, and so many do not even make it beyond their third birthday. What would you say is the state of SMEs, particularly in the manufacturing sector?
Some of the issues that prevent SMEs surviving and then eventually thriving would be many things: access to markets, lack of liquidity, lack of credit, lack of sometimes business acumen, and so on. So what we've done as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers in our 60th anniversary is to say, how can we meaningfully contribute to at least lifting up the survival rate for SMEs in manufacturing, and we do it through basically categorizing them into three. One is what we call incubators, and there's a bouquet of services aimed at people who are starting up and what are the conditions they primarily face and how can we assist them, whether it's mentorship and so on. And the second category we have is what we call accelerators. So people who survived their first year but are now getting up to speed and getting larger. And again, there's a specific bouquet of services aimed at them. And then the last one is people who are doing well are now starting to export, and these are what we call the accelerators, the scale, and they're actually starting to get to scale and come up to there. We'd long to see the day when we have a Kenyan unicorn manufacturing, which rose out of was an SME, which became a unicorn, and we need more of those.
And I want us to talk about that transition from SME growing into a bigger business. Flora mentioned it that now Melvin's Tea is no longer an SME, it's joined the big boys club. But that's one success story. How do we bridge that gap so that we ensure our SMEs grow and become the big boys and the unicorn, as you've put it?
We are working pretty closely with government to actually ensure business is facilitated and a conducive business environment is in place to get them to scale. What we're seeing is many companies which started off as SMEs, which are now at scale. And I'll just give an example. We have about 5 companies in the printing packaging sector. 3 of them are at scale. Now 2 are still SMEs. In fact, one of them is a startup. It's an incubator. So there are always stages in a company's business. The issue is how do you keep nurturing them and making them get to scale quickly.
You mentioned the government and conducive environment. The budget was just read. Some money was set aside for the big 4. We saw other areas being taxed, other areas being given tax reliefs. We're seeing the ease of doing business index in the World Bank constantly rising, and the president is committed to ensuring that we get to top 50. What more do we need to do?
What we must address now is the cost of doing business. If we address the cost of doing business, which is what we've been in really what we call intensive discussions with government on addressing competitiveness, what we call input competitiveness, process competitiveness, and outbound competitiveness, and what are the interlinked components of the cost drivers in each bucket. And we're trying to address them collectively. And I think the budget went a long way towards doing it. We are very grateful to government for including a lot of our proposals that we had done, but it was a collaborative effort. Now the issue is for private sector to implement and drive. What we are seeing is we must get the cost of doing business lower. So the ease of doing business is great. The investment dollars are attracted by the cost of doing business going down.
But again, we need to talk about the market within the country and outside the country. So how do we ensure that we grow our manufacturing here so we can process those basic things, value addition, and then a market in the country and beyond?
What we do need to do is take a recognition of the fact that we are in a market of 250 million people within the region. It's not a small market. We can get to scale. However, we need a bit of support to compete against them and make sure that our price point for goods manufactured locally is the that we are able to compete on a level playing field against imports.
Today was a successful launch, as I could put it, of the SME Hub. What is it and why is it necessary at this point in time where we're talking about manufacturing?
I think realistically, SMEs actually comprise more than 65% of KAM's membership as we stand right now. It's always been a strong component. We used to have an SME caucus within KAM, but what we've now decided to do is make it a much wider and a broader and a more focused product offering. We've created a special hub within KAM for SMEs, and there'll be a lot of focus and drive towards ensuring the SMEs get the adequate level of support, mentorship, market linkages, and so on from the club at KAM. Yeah.
Chairman,
Okay.
thank you for
Thank you.
making time.
Thank you. Okay.